I am drinking a Scotch ale, Magnificent Bastard Scotch ale.
Okay.
Ooh.
9.2% alcohol by volume.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you will be fun, Randy.
Oh, I'm going to be fun, Randall. Yeah.
We're drinking a little 92 proof rye with
nice.
Some peach juice.
Let's bring up Last of Us again. Let's get into another fight.
Yeah, let's do it. I loved that too. Let's go.
That's good.
Let's bring it.
It was
Last
great.
of Us, the worst of us.
Whoa.
Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. This is episode number 34, and my name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery,
Hey, everybody.
DJ Mandolini,
Yo.
and John Hines.
Hello.
And we are back again, and we're back to talk about a bunch of new releases on certain systems, new video games for a change, or
That's
not for
right.
a change. We do it every once in a while, but yeah, we try to stay relevant a little bit, but it's hard.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Wow. The tone shift. Like, this is like, oh.
well, I'm always wanting to dig
Guys,
through my backlog,
it's
you know.
hard.
We
It's
do our
like
best for you.
Yeah, it's difficult. It is. But for once, we're all on the same page, and we're super excited to get the new Shovel Knight, the final Shovel Knight DLC or free DLC package or campaign, I guess. The King of Cards campaign. I personally have only played through the original Shovel Knight campaign and then just a little bit of Plague Knight. But what's everyone else's experience with the Shovel Knight franchise? Why don't we just start with Randall, since John's pointing at him?
Yeah. It's good audio. So, yeah, for me, played through the original Shovel Knight. Actually was a Kickstarter backer of the original Shovel Knight. So I've still got
Thank you,
the
Randall.
NES replica
Yeah,
box
thank you.
and other stuff along with it, along with the manual. So I'm like, oh, this is sweet. And then
Nice. For what system? What console?
Wii U at that point. Yeah.
Nice.
Whoa.
So, and then I did end up getting it on 3DS, and then I ended up getting the Treasure Trove on Switch because I just wanted to own the full package physically, just because that's what I do, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then I played some Plague Knight. Definitely a little bit higher learning curve there to get used to how Plague Knight
For sure.
played.
For sure.
And then a little bit of Spectre Knight. And then with King of Cards, I'm in the kind of beginning of the second world, I would say.
Nice. And I guess I should say, yeah, I was able to complete King of Cards. But what about you, DJ? You probably have the most Shovel Knight experience out of us.
Yeah, I also got it for the Wii U back when it came out. And, you know, when I did Shovel Knight original and Plague Knight, I was a bit of a completionist with those two. So I went
Unlike
for...
now.
Dude, I'm way better than I was.
Yeah, it is. It's a difference. I can tell.
But yeah, I went for all the feats and all the challenges, and I did them. And
Wow. Which these include like beat the game without dying, beat the game in under an hour and a half, beat like all kinds of crazy shit. But anyways,
when I did Spectre Knight when it came out, I was just like, I'm just gonna beat this. Maybe I'll come back to it and do the feats or whatever. And I just never got around to it, so I broke the habit. And then with King of Cards now, just went through the whole thing, did challenge mode. I think I may try to 100%. I might try to 100% the whole freaking
the whole series.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, because like, I mean, I it's the only reason I'm keeping my Wii U is for Shovel Knight, because I'm a cheap fuck. But it's not just like having to rebuy it. It's like I want to potentially have that like completed file with like every single feat completed. And all
You're
that
saying you get like a little medal next to
Yeah.
the file name or whatever.
Yeah,
so
nice.
like it, you know,
I want that.
I used to be a sucker.
Yeah,
Oh,
I want that little badge of honor, and then I'll sell that shit.
Yeah, sell your Wii U for a premium.
yeah.
So you update. You only bought it on Wii U and you updated it fully.
Yes,
So we
sir.
really did like.
Yeah, we're digging through the
cross-platform
ages.
this whole game.
Yeah, why don't you take it away next, John? Because you're playing on a handheld
3DS.
system. But yeah,
That's really fun. Yeah, I bought the game when it first came out on 3DS, and I beat Shovel Knight I played like a New Game Plus on the original Shovel Knight mode. I beat it on Plague Knight, and then Spectre Knight I apparently only got like I think 80% of the way through. I'd never beat it. And then I've also just barely started King of Cards. Like I haven't gotten too far. I've gotten maybe like almost to the end of like the first world.
Surprised you didn't finish Spectre Knight.
I know. Well, I really loved Plague Knight. I think that was probably my favorite mechanics.
Yeah.
In terms of like
it
control.
took a minute, like you said, like to get used to, but it was like it felt great when you would like you're kind of like using bombs to like just blow up and launch yourself as like almost like a second jump, or not a second jump, but like a long jump or a high jump.
Well, it took me a little bit.
Yeah.
It took me a little bit to get used to the controls in King of Cards, but like I've also really enjoyed the way that controls.
It takes a sec, but
it's such I think it's incredible like how each one really does control completely differently, but like you still kind of have that, you know, sense of like there like it doesn't like the jump mechanics may be different, or like the like combo mechanics may be different, but there's like still just like they feel like completely different games, even if they are within like the same world.
Yeah, I almost feel like King Knight is like a better version of Shovel Knight.
Yeah,
because like with Shovel Knight, his main appeal is like, you know, that bouncing, and it's like King Knight has that, but also with like a midair dash that you can use. Basically,
it feels
Shovel Knight
great.
is the most basic control scheme out of all of them,
for sure.
That's true.
Yeah, which it's been a while since I played that, but yeah, it feels like it's more of like you just have like a standard jump, you have like your Scrooge McDuck, you know, pogo stick attack, and then you have your just dig attack, right? Is that, and then you get like your different abilities and stuff, and but like your main abilities, But King Knight, it just like it almost encourages like. I don't want to say I'm like speed running these levels, but because you have that like dash, you're almost like encouraged to like, okay, I can jump to this next closest platform, but I can easily like clear that and dash over the bigger gap and like kind of save some time. And you can even like tap dash again midair and do like a quick roll. So you're almost like you're rolling through the dash. You don't have that quick pause at the end of it. But yeah, I just love the way he feels to like, and basically you have like a shoulder check, and then you're able to shoulder check into a wall or an enemy,
like
and then you do
Wario
like a
Land.
spin move. Yeah, that's a good bite. I hadn't even thought of that, but yeah. And then you kind of you can chain that into like a spin jump. But I really like how the levels are laid out, you know, with like certain walls you can't bounce off of and certain walls you can.
Yeah, finding out like with the grass growing on a wall meant that like you couldn't bounce off it. Like as soon as I figured that out, I was like, oh god, that's why I love this series.
Yes,
and
like
it's such genius,
and it's so clever. Like just the way they do it, like later levels where you're like in a castle, it's like a banner like draped over the wall, or like it's just everything's just the game is like. You know, it's 8-bit pixel art, essentially, definitely upgraded from, like, what an NES could do.
Yeah.
But not too far from it. But, like, I mean, all of these packages, again, I haven't played Plague Knight and Spectre Knight a ton, but they are just some of the most polished, like, indie, retro-inspired games ever. I mean, they're really up there at the top tier for me. I had so much fun playing King Knight. And my memories of Shovel Knight, even though they're not like as strong of like I don't remember all the different details of it. But
5-year-old game.
yeah,
and you're still getting free DLC in 2019. Right. It's nuts.
And that's and it is worth mentioning too that you can buy the King of Cards campaign separately for $10. You can also buy the Spectre Knight campaign for $10. I don't think you can buy Plague Knight separately or the Shovel Knight separately. I think you can only buy the Treasure Trove.
That might be right.
To get those, but I could be wrong about that. But at least on the Switch, I think it's those. And then I guess we should also mention, not that we're done talking about King of Cards, but like there's also that Shovel Knight Showdown that just got added to the Shovel Knight Treasure Trove package, which is like the multiplayer versus. Right. It's on like right in the main menu. There's Showdown. Me and DJ played a couple rounds, and it was pretty fun. It's mostly just like collecting gems. It's like up to 4 players and collect gems and like a time limit and kill each other. And it was like Smash Brothers essentially, but
it's cute how like, you know, when you die, it's like you drop the gems, like you drop your gold during the game, so the other person can pick up your gems.
Yeah, like it almost plays more similarly to like a combination of like Smash Brothers and then just straight up like the original like Mario Brothers versus arcade game. Like it kind of feels similar to that. But you get to play as like Shield Knight and Propeller Knight and a bunch of the other characters. Polar Knight, yeah.
Oh,
so that was pretty cool. We didn't really play enough to really have much of an impression, other than it was fun playing 2 players, and I can only imagine it would have been more fun playing with up to 4. So
right.
But back to King of Cards. One thing I will say, there's another element of this game, which is the Joustus card games, which I was very thankful that I did not need to play those. I played the tutorial Joustus battle, and I have not played one more battle since then. They're just not that interesting to me. I didn't like the way the input worked with
which I don't understand at all.
Well, it's
so simple.
But you just have to it's just tedious, I guess. It's like you have to pick a card, pick where you want to put it, and then pick the direction you want to place it in. It just
those are only 3 steps. Yeah. That's not very complicated.
It's 3 more steps than Slay the Spire takes. So I'm still hooked on that. So I don't need to be playing any Joustus personally, but I was very relieved to see. Which again, it does seem like a cool, like a DJ. You can talk about it in a minute, but I know it seems like you were kind of thought it was a cool card game, but like I did appreciate though that like, okay, if you want 100% or you want to go for all the medals or get all the cards, all the collectibles, you can dig into this card game, but if not, you can just straight up play the game and totally ignore it, which I appreciated.
Yeah. Well, what's really nice too is like, getting all the cards is one of the feats, so that's I'm a little tempted to get all those cards, but I can't remember at what point. But once you make a certain amount of progress with Joustus, you get an item that'll show you like who's got all of the cards that like you don't have, or like just making that process a lot less painful because. A character can have multiple cards you don't have, and they won't necessarily be playing them in a game because their deck is just randomly shuffled. So
right. And you're only seeing 3 at a time.
Yeah. So the card you want might not pop up, but it's good to know, like, okay, I know that this person has this. So
okay, that's cool at least. Yeah. Again, still probably not something I'm personally going to explore, but
I think what you might like most is in each of like the Joustus houses, there's like the frog and toad dudes, and they each have like a Joustus puzzle where it's like try to it's this preset like board, and it's just like you have one turn, you just get to play one card, play the card in the way, play the correct card in the correct way, to win in this one turn.
Okay.
And so
that sounds kind of cool. Yeah, I'd be more into like a puzzle element of that game as opposed to the battles.
I viewed the battles as puzzles.
Yeah, I guess I should. I mean, I literally only played the tutorial battle. I did not even try one more. So maybe I just didn't give it a fair shake. I mean, that's totally possible. But it just didn't interest me when I first played it. And it's cool to me, at least, that it's a separate part. So if I do feel like, okay, there's like I did beat the game. I didn't clear like a lot of the levels have like a secret path, which I appreciate, or a secret exit, which I really appreciate that it not only signifies like once you find the secret like opening, there's like a red arrow pointing to like, hey, this is a secret path going this way. There's a secret exit over here. But also like on the map, you can usually see, okay, there's like a treasure chest like gem off to the, like you can kind of see a red path branching off the level you're on, or a white path or like a yellow path or whatever that signifies kind of the main path. But I really appreciate just all the interface stuff. I feel a little cheap. DJ was watching me finish. I finished the game earlier today.
You didn't.
And like
you didn't finish the game.
Wow. You can buy like different suits, and I think you can do that in all the Shovel Knight games, right? Like different suits of armor.
But you don't have to wear them, Kevin.
You don't have to wear them, but you can wear them, and you can wear one that allows you to, like, if you have enough health, if you fall in a pit or if you fall on some spikes, your little flying rat buddies will scoop you up and save you and float you to safety.
Nice.
So I use that mostly in the interest of just saving time. I mean, I can play these levels over and over again and eventually beat them if they're super tough. I didn't find the game to be terribly challenging. I mean, I had I thought the difficulty was just perfectly balanced. Like I felt like I was plowing through when I beat something. I felt good about it. I didn't get stuck very many times, but
yeah, this game, like none of the games ever hit a point where I felt like I can't beat this. Like,
right, but it always feels satifying. Yeah, I feel like it has just a perfect balance of like even just from the get-go, and like the curve of difficulty just ramps up so smoothly. Like I just never hit like a spike where like there's a frustrating mechanic, and again, maybe that's different in Plague Knight or Spectre Knight, which tries some different things, but I doubt that's the case because Yacht Club from everything I've played, has a pretty nice track record.
They know how to make some video games.
Yeah, not card games though. No, I'm just kidding. I can't talk shit. I have not even really played it.
I do like what DJ
though.
was talking about, those puzzle scenarios. I kind of had a similar experience to Kevin with Justice at first. I'm like, I'm not so sure about this, and I'm someone that's like kind of a sucker for these card-based games, as we'll find out soon, and as we've already talked about with things like Slay the Spire. But
yeah, and puzzle games for that matter too. I mean, we're always talking about puzzle games on the podcast.
Oh, totally. So. Yeah, I love puzzle games. But yeah, this didn't grab me at first, the Justice part. But then, I went into another Justice house because I'm like, yeah, why not? And then let me explore it at the very least. And then went and talked to the frog dude, and he's like, I've got puzzles for you. And then I was sucked in by at least that aspect of it. And then just playing those puzzles, I think helped ingrain the rules of Justice to me better, where I'm like, okay, I'll try Justice again now. So I haven't done that yet, but I will.
That's exactly where I'm at, where like I haven't really like internalized the language of the like card game.
Yeah.
So like those puzzles were a kind of gateway for me to like understand, because like I would be like, I have beaten like almost everyone in the first Justice house, and honestly, I don't know how I was playing any different than when I was losing.
Right.
But like at least when I was doing the puzzles, like I was able to see like, yes, I can understand what I'm doing and like what the like solutions are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still like internalizing that language into like the whole like card games. Like I was never able to do that in Final Fantasy IX. Like that card game mechanic I was horrible at and never even touched. But like I did like that a little bit more in Justice, because I think that was at least when you're first playing and there's those only like 4 playable areas, and like I was able to get to like the like 9 playable areas. So I don't know if it's going to ever get to 16.
Oh, so the table gets bigger. It expands beyond that 2x2 square.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
that was
way
part of why I
was
that was part of why I was put off. Is like, is this every puzzle is just going to be this limited? Like, or every battle?
No.
Okay. So
most of the time
there
are 3 gems on the board, and if you're able to claim all 3 at the end, that's a gem sweep. And instead of taking one of the opponent's cards, you get to take 3.
Oh,
okay. So yeah, I'm an asshole.
The trick.
I should have because that automatically makes it sound more interesting to me. Because it does have more of like a little more of a board game feel than a card game. I feel like, because it feels a little more tangible than like you're not just like playing cards. Like you're actually physically moving the location of cards on the board. And I think, I don't know, just something about the tedium of the inputs put me off, and I wrote it off. But maybe I'll try to open those last few exits and win a few card battles here.
And hey, Kevin, if you need the extra assistance, Chester, is that the character's name?
Yes, Chester does give you cheats.
He can sell you some cheats if you need them.
Oh, okay.
I know how you like to save time.
Yeah, I can. If I can float with my rats, I can take a few cheat cards.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if it was new to this installment in the game or not, but like I don't remember seeing Chester's like face or portrait sprite next to like his text box in previous games, because this was the first time I ever realized that he had like a blindfold on or like a mask on. I had always like assumed what was like his pixelated mouth was his eyes, and that he was wearing just this giant like beer helmet in every game.
That's great.
Yeah, I guess it's probably worth mentioning just like the humor and like writing in this game is really solid, and in the whole series, like just really like cute and cheeky and nice little subtle references. Like in the end, like outro sequence, there's all like kinds of little details where you're like, oh, that's kind of from that, or oh, that's from the first game. DJ was calling more of those out. I probably would have, some of them would have gone past me, but
you don't have a good memory, Kevin.
But yeah, even from that beginning moment of like the very last, like when you finish the first level and like the ending is just all of your little like propeller rat buddies like taking you away. Like as soon as that happened, I was like, this is why I love this series. It's so charming.
Yeah, he grabs the ring to go up in his airship, and all like the ticker tape flies out. That's just like it's so fun. All the little animations and stuff. It's great.
Yeah,
I feel like level layout wise, this is the most unique out of all 4 games.
I agree.
Just because the fact that there are levels that don't, like, the levels in the other games typically end with boss battles, but they're just straight up levels in this one where it's just get to the end.
Yeah. Yeah, this is maybe the meatiest of all the campaigns. I could be wrong,
if
but
you
I know,
include the card, with the
card game
part,
for sure. But even still, I mean, there's a ton of levels there. I felt like it was.
Well, the levels are shorter. Like I don't know how it compares.
Like,
they're kind of
in the first world. There's only 2 checkpoints for like.
Most of the levels actually only have the 1 checkpoint usually in King of Cards. I think,
great.
But I would
they're
say
shorter.
Maybe not most, but but they're that's what I mean. I guess is they're shorter. Yeah,
I guess I wonder, lengthwise how they compare if you add them up.
But I guess it feels like, for example, like. I don't know, tons of indie games now. Like I feel like standard price is almost like $20, where like you can pick up King of Cards for $10, and that is like a solid package for $10.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is a full-fledged game, I think. Like I know it's part of this Treasure Trove package, but I feel like all of these games stand as like on their own as an independent release. And I think, like you were saying, DJ, like there's a little more overlap with like the Plague Knight and the Spectre Knight campaigns. Like there's kind of just like, slightly shuffled level layouts and stuff. This seems like it's a full, like just new game, and even new zones that I don't recall seeing. There was one zone I would say that was a little trouble. Like I had a hard time like distinguishing the visuals where you're in like the laboratory. There's like the potions and the beakers in the background and stuff. Like it's a lot of neon, and I had a hard time like what was the background, what's in the foreground. I had a little trouble with that level. But I'd say that's my only gripe about this entire game.
I had similar problems near the end of the game, so I mean,
yeah,
it's bound to happen, I guess.
Yeah. Especially when you're working with like an 8-bit retro style, so
right. But it also is pretty ambitious in like how dense like the visuals are. Like they're not just trying to be like, this is like the level, the ground. Like this is like you are inhabiting these spaces, and there's so much happening.
Yeah. I don't know. Does anybody have a favorite campaign out of the whole Treasure Trove package?
Like it would probably be Plague Knight. I think
Plague Knight's my favorite story, but like but like. Gameplay wise, it's either Spectre or King Knight. I think I like the way that they handle the best.
I love how the King plays. It just like immediately clicked with me. I don't know why, but just the flow of it, and there's just enough similarity to all the other Shovel Knight campaigns, but it's just spun differently where it's in my muscle memory, and I'm like, I know how to play this, and it just feels great.
Yeah, I think I'm same boat again. Only really having put a significant amount of time into the original Shovel Knight and King of Cards. But yeah, I think King of Cards takes the cake for me from what I've played. But I'm excited to now replay or dig deeper into Plague Knight and then play a little Spectre Knight too, because I really like the like fluidity of motion with like the slashing mechanic with Spectre Knight. That seems really awesome. So cool. Well, I think we can wrap up the Shovel Knight conversation there, and why don't we toss the ball your way, John, to talk about a little Ashen, which just came out on the Switch.
Yeah, so I had heard about Ashen, I think a year ago it came out originally, but it just got released on Switch, which is basically how I play every game.
As you should.
All of us but DJ, I think, are pretty much on that bandwagon.
So I play a lot of games well after their initial release, just because it's the first time that they're put out on a Nintendo console.
Right.
But Ashen is a third-person action-adventure game, and it's a Souls-like, where, you go to ritual stones in this game. They function as bonfires where you go from place to place, and, you're making your way through enemies that respawn every time that you go to one of those ritual stones and activate them. And you're gaining scoria in this game, which are the souls or the currency in this game, and you're spending that on upgrades. And actually, when I started playing the game, I was really taken with how almost exactly the same story it is to the original Dark Souls game. Like I was
chosen undead,
but it is like this whole like post-apocalypse where, you know, the world is ending and you, at least in the Dark Souls, like you have the option to like restart the process all over again, and or like accepting the like ruling over the apocalypse. But the thing that I think really sets apart Ashen, and what really spoke to me when I initially first heard of the game, was that it's more about rebuilding in this apocalypse setting. So the world has ended and everybody's scattered, and, you know, there's like rows of bandits that are like going around and attacking people, and there's not really any civilization left, even though there are all these ruins everywhere, and there's like tons of people still, but they're all scattered and then they're not centralized. And the very first thing you do is you set up the Vagrant's Rest. And then little by little, like, you meet new people, and unlike the Souls games where there's this huge like emphasis on doom and how like no matter what you do, like basically every NPC's quest line either ends up with them dead or you killing them. Like in Ashen, it's you bringing them back to this place, or even if like you're not bringing them, like them finding their own way back to this like hub world and like finding this solace and rebuilding this community. And like that really spoke to me. I thought that was I loved that story way more than the Dark Souls story, which like I really enjoyed Dark Souls as a game and as like a mechanic. But there were so many design choices that were incredibly frustrating to me.
Yep.
And the sense of progression in Ashen, where there's a lot more granular, I guess, advancements in the game. Like not so much in terms of levels. There's not like you're not upgrading individual stats like you are in Dark Souls. You basically there are no levels in Ashen. You are gaining health and stamina by completing side quests with different people. So like you'll meet someone and they're like, "Oh, I'm looking for this artifact," or this like, "Can you come with me and we'll like hunt down these enemies?" And as you do that, like you're slowly gaining a little bit more health or a little bit more stamina, or maybe you find some more scoria that you can upgrade your weapons with, instead of cool. Like, "Oh, I've chosen this class in Dark Souls and I need to upgrade my intelligence in order to like maximize my damage that I'm doing." But
do you choose classes in Ashen, or is it just the one character type?
It's just the one, which is I kind of I both like and like dislike, because I one thing that I liked about Dark Souls was that, you know, I was able to like choose, like when I played Pyromancer, like I was controlling completely different than when I was playing. I don't even remember what like my other one that I kind of gave up on was, but you know, like there's really only one there's a one-handed weapon, a two-handed weapon, and a spear.
Okay.
And you have access to those at any time. You can switch between those, and like the attacks aren't really varied between that. So it's not like Dark Souls where, you know, you have axes or you have spears,
right,
or you have rapiers or katanas. Like there isn't really a difference in terms of like attacks that you can do. But the world is incredibly varied and beautiful. Like I think that it's a very cel-shaded game. There's not a ton of detail, which is another difference from Dark Souls, which, you know, has a lot of detail, but it's very like specific in its kind of like griminess.
Brown.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like one of those games where like the character, like I don't even think they have like eyes or anything. Like, it's just like a blank face kind of. It's a cool look. I actually, when John mentioned he was playing this, it was available. I did end up splurging and getting an Xbox One. Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned that on the podcast or not.
I don't think so.
But I did get that, and I switched my Game Pass subscription from my PC over to my console, and John was like, "Hey, Ashen's on Game Pass." So I downloaded it, and I've mentioned, I think, on the podcast before when we talked about Dark Souls, like those kinds of games really aren't for me too much. And I guess in my fashion, at least for today, I played the tutorial and I was just like, okay, this game's not for me. I missed that first jump in the tutorial and landed far. I was just like, no, this just isn't for me. But I do really like the art style a lot, and I really did like when we were over at your place the other day, John, and you were showing like the kind of hub world that you were rebuilding, and like, oh, this wasn't here, and like that does seem really cool. I like that aspect of like this like I always like games when you're bringing the world back to life, or even something as subtle as like, oh, you clear all these like demons, and like I don't know if they do it in like a Zelda game, but like all the plants are like rotted out, and then like, oh, you kill all the enemies, and now like the flowers start blooming. I guess even Flower on PSN, way back in the day, like had that mechanic of just like, oh, you like activated all the little blossoms in this area. Now it's like the tree sprouts and comes back to life. I just like that effect, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
And especially like with a thing that I think is really unique with this hub world is that like, usually when it's like, oh, I found the like smith, and now there's a blacksmith available. But like with this, there are so many individual steps that like go into it. So like, it's not just like, oh, like there's now this house here. It's like, no, you see the framework go up, and then they just put the walls up, and then like,
oh, cool.
Little by little, as you're like leaving the town and coming back, like it takes like, there are at least like 20 different steps in between. Like you still have access to all of like the upgrades that you do, but like you are really seeing this like town get rebuilt from the ground up, and it's not just like, oh, there's an entire new building here. Like you are seeing each individual step, and it feels great to come back and see a whole new place.
Yeah, how much is that scripted to like the timing of the campaign, or how much is that like, is there some fluidity with that? Like, are you having an impact on how that's shaken out, or?
So there is a bit of that, like it a new building will only crop up if you have like a person who's going to be there or who will do that. But like you do have some degree of agency with how, like, which side quests you're doing. Like I tend to do every available side quest before like doing the next big dungeon or the next big boss.
Yep. Same.
But you could like just go and do whatever would unlock the next area and like ignore side quests entirely for like different people.
Could you come back to them if you wanted to?
I believe so.
Oh, cool.
Like I don't think that there's like even a set like order to do that. Like I think it's just based on like what they have available. Like I don't think like, well, like in Dark Souls, like if you don't interact with this NPC during this time, they will be gone forever. Right. Like I think they're just way more forgiving in that respect.
DJ's giving a look.
I'm not arguing. I'm curious. What is the combat like in this game?
The combat is very simplified,
clunky. I would say.
I would say,
but I think Dark Souls is super clunky too.
I would say in comparison to Dark Souls, it's. I wouldn't say it's smoother, but like in Dark Souls, I play axes only, which is an incredibly deliberate and slow because it's a stun heavy weapon. So like it will stop enemies.
Like
in
if
their
you land the blow, you can
yeah, and like so I will like do a lot of evasion and get to either an enemy's weak point or like stun lock them by attacking them enough times in Dark Souls. And so like honestly, the combat is very similar to the like axe mechanic in Dark Souls. So for me,
everyone just gets stunned.
Yeah. Well, not everyone. Like there are, that's also a mechanic. Like there's a stun mechanic, like a meter, like this weapon is better at stunning than this other weapon. But yeah, there's not a ton of, like I said, like there's not a lot of variety between it. So like if I say like was someone who played like with rapiers in Dark Souls, I don't know I would necessarily enjoy the combat.
Okay. I guess difficulty wise,
I am having I think it's easier than Dark Souls. Yeah. I'm having, I'm still running into the whole like, I'm getting cocky and I think that I'm good enough to get into this next area, and then I turn a corner and then there's just a room full of enemies just beating the shit out of me. So like it does a good job of one, like keeping the scale going on. Like another thing is like each successive area has been putting more enemies with more health, so you can't just like, and then but also like not introducing them one at a time, so like it's super easy to get overwhelmed. So I think like in that respect it's still pretty good at scaling in the same way that like Dark Souls does.
Does it do bullshitty things like random boulders that you can't avoid on stairwells?
there are so few bottomless pits.
What do you mean can't avoid?
Yeah, you just have to know
you're not
that
DJ.
they exist ahead of time. Yeah, no, there's so much less bullshit that is like actively antagonistic. Like that is like there are like I will go. There was one area like right before a boss that I was like, you can see the area where the boss is, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna walk straight up to that and walk through a doorway, and like just a dude just comes with an axe swing just ready for me, and I was like, okay, game, yeah, you're still kind of a Souls-like in that respect, but like the amount of there's also a lot more acrobatics or like even like a button that is mapped to a jump button. Like, and not like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sprint and then let go of my sprint button, and at the end of that, I'm
You're
jumping
speaking my
like
language.
in Dark Souls. So like, yeah, there's
You can't just, jump over distances with no speed, John. You gotta run.
no. So there's like climbing mechanics, and there's like a lot of platforming that it's not demanding or like super like twitchy or like precision jumping, but there are some areas that are like, well, here's a little gap that you need to make sure that you get over by like timing your jump correctly. And like, even then it's like usually not over a bottomless pit. It's over like a 1-story thing that'll do damage to you. So like there's not a lot of like instant death things like in Dark Souls.
Yeah, even that jump that I missed in the tutorial, like it just kind of like looped me around to the path that I was supposed to be on anyways. So
Nice.
it didn't set me back or anything like that. So
Yeah.
or I shouldn't say the tutorial, but the opening sequence or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with the bullshit you have asserted.
I still really like the original Dark Souls.
Well, and I think you should play.
I know.
See, I think you should play Dark Souls 3 because I think it does a good way of being like original Dark Souls, but less bullshitty.
Okay.
Although it is more linear, and I know that's not your cup of tea.
Yeah, I did really like that. This is way
That
more
sounds
open.
interesting to me.
It's not as open-ended, and I think that, it is still pretty linear, but there are like the areas that you can explore in each successive area are, still pretty open. Whereas like, I think Dark Souls, at least the first one, there were a lot of different paths that I could go. Like even when I was playing my second playthrough, I remember I like did a couple sequence breaky things, and that felt really good, even though like that just meant I was in an area that I was hideously underleveled for.
But I feel like the like Ashen and Dark Souls, I mean, yes, they are similar, but like they're also very different because they seem to be striking two very different tones. Like where Ashen is like more of a hopeful tone,
Absolutely,
and the despair of Dark Souls, which like and like this, yes, sounds stupid, but I was telling Kevin like there is like a certain beauty I find in the despair that Dark Souls is it's putting forth.
Like that I will say to its credit, like Dark Souls, while it is like very doom and gloom, like there is like a point to it. It's not like grim dark for the sake of like being like, oh man, aren't we edgy? It's like, no, it's like you just got to figure this shit out. Like, that's what the world is.
So I guess I would be curious to look at some of the boss battles or whatever in Ashen, because I am curious about the difficulty, because I feel like in a more game that's trying to set a more hopeful tone, my assumption is that the difficulty is going to be less, and that makes sense.
Yeah. I've for the two bosses that I fought, they've been more just like normal enemies that like just have way more health and like way stronger attacks, so there's just more emphasis on dodging. I found the most difficulty to be with places where you're just being swarmed with enemies, or like enemies that like will ignore your like blocks. Like there's a nice area like very early on that like you can easily skip, or like that like has these wraith enemies, which like the first couple times that you approach them will just disappear until they're a little bit further away, and then the final time that they disappear, like they will just lunge at you, and like if you don't have your guard up, like they will pin you down. And like that's another thing, is that like if you're pinned, you have like you usually play with another AI computer so that you're like two people playing like with each other most of the time. And if your AI is close enough or smart enough sometimes, like they can help you with it getting pinned. I've had several times where I've been pinned by a wraith and like my companion is just standing over me. I'm like, dude, you are watching me die. But yeah, I've really loved this game and I wholeheartedly enjoy it.
Nice.
I am curious, and I guess I was a little just hesitant just based off. I would like it to be cheaper. It was on sale for like $32 when it was normally like $40. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do like these kinds of games, and I don't think it has to be an either or. You can like both, obviously. But man, it's just...
I think it's worth it, but I know that if you're a guy who waits for those nice big sales...
I love a big sale.
Well, especially when we already have so many other games that we haven't played. I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think we all have a decent backlog of stuff we haven't played that we already own, so...
For sure.
But yeah, I think, I guess from one game that kind of had a little bit of a delay, although a little bit longer one, I've been playing a little Jamestown Plus, which was also just released on the Switch, and I think across all platforms, if I'm not mistaken. But this was a game that came out back in 2011. Yeah. And it was one of those like PC only bullet hell shmups that I just assumed I was never going to get to play. And or I shouldn't say never, but I just never had a PC gaming setup, never... There's enough games on the consoles that I had. I just didn't, even though I wanted to play it, heard great things. And it's got like a 16-bit, a little more detailed than that, but like a 16-bit retro aesthetic. And I just think it's an absolutely beautiful vertical scrolling shoot 'em up. It has some of the best pixel art I've seen. It's a little bit hyperbole there, a little bit of hyperbole, but
at least for
it's just beautiful.
Though. Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's really detailed, and it's like, and it just having that full widescreen and this mode. I don't know if the original game had this, but it does offer up to 4 players. And most bullet hell shmups are you're mostly looking at the same experience, but the original game had 5 levels. This one adds 2 new levels to the mix and like kind of like a side mission. And then the way this worked is like, so I played the first 3 levels, which are unlocked like as you beat each individual level. Like you beat the first level, second level unlocks on any difficulty. But after I beat the first 3, I was not able to unlock the 4th level until I beat all the first 3 levels on difficult. And then to unlock the 5th level, I have to beat levels 1 through 4 on the legendary difficulty, which is even a step beyond that.
Jeez.
And then for each of these runs, like it's not a roguelike or anything. These are scripted, the levels are totally scripted other than getting more difficult with the different settings. But you're earning coins and money at the end of each run that you can then use to spend on like buying other ships, and you can eventually, I think, unlock like custom ships where you have like a main weapon and then a secondary weapon. Each character, I think there's like 8 different ships, it seemed like, from like the main setting, and then I think you can mix and match those, like the main shot and your special shot.
Oh, cool.
Which are all kinds of different things. Like some of them, DJ was playing as a character that was like, you could, if the longer you waited, you would have this like huge orb that would like charge in front of you that you could launch, or you could kind of quick fire them, but they were smaller and less powerful. I had kind of like a heavy duty laser beam where my regular shot was a lighter spread shot. And then I do my special, and it's like a heavy laser beam that when I hold it down, I'm also moving slower, which I really like in these shmups where I can like kind of fine tune and like weave through some bullets and then let it go and go back to my spread shot. And then John played, actually, I guess you both played as a character where you can aim in a different direction with so instead of shooting just straight forward, you're able to kind of hold down your special button and then aim this secondary and honestly your more powerful weapon in any direction in 360 degrees. So you can shoot behind you or off to the side, which really came in handy during the boss battles. But yeah, I've just been having a blast, and I really like that extra, like it's encouraging me to kind of start at a lower difficulty. Okay, I want to push it a little, and the multiplayer mode definitely makes things a lot easier because you're able to like scoop up. Not only you only lose a continue when everyone dies within a 10-second countdown. And then also if anyone dies, there's like these revive 1 little pickups that'll pop up. And then if somebody's dead and one of us picks those up, then someone who's dead will revive instantly.
Oh, that's sweet.
So you're kind of able, and they pop up pretty frequently. Yeah, and otherwise, it's about a 10-second countdown, I think.
I think it increased with the more that you
the more deaths, maybe.
Because I think it started off with being like 7 seconds for me, and then like I think the worst out of the three of us. It ended up being like 20 seconds.
I never saw it get that high, but I did see it get above 10 for sure. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really solid, really polished experience. The music's great. It's just, typical shoot 'em up fare, but it's nice and bumping. It's got kind of a unique style too. It's like you're playing in like the 1600s, and I think you're playing as like Sir Walter Raleigh or something like that.
But you're also like, on Mars.
Yeah, you're on Mars, but it's also like colonial Mars. Like, it's really weird. It's bizarre, but it's kind of interesting. And then apparently this like these 2 extra levels like take place on the moons of Mars that are like just kind of like a side story. But yeah, it's just kind of like this alternate history sort of thing. But then the other main mechanic is like as you collect, as in most shoot 'em ups, you're like, as you mow down enemies, they kind of drop like gold, or there's sort of like these gears. It's definitely got like a steampunk kind of aesthetic a little bit, and like they drop these gears, and you go and scoop those up, and those fill up your like Vaunt meter, I think it's called. Maybe that's not what the meter's called, but the mechanic is called Vaunt mode. And so once you fill that up all the way, you click the A button, and that goes into Vaunt mode, and that does like a small like a diameter, like a radial circle will open around you, clear all the bullets that are in a pretty decently wide range, I would say. And then that meter will start ticking down, but during that you're doing, I think, like 50% more damage, and you're getting like 50% more points. Everything's like you're just getting all kinds of crazy boosts. And
nice.
Then as you're mowing down enemies while you're in that mode, you can keep scooping up gold, or the gears or whatever, that will keep refilling that meter. So you can keep that chain, that combo going as long as you can. And then you do have, once you have the Vaunt mode activated, you can click it one more time. That will put like an X over the meter, which won't let you continue to fill it, but it will let you do like one more small like bullet clear, essentially. So it'd just be for like in a pinch of like, I'm about to die with my last life, I'm going to use this Vaunt. So it'll kind of end that combo you have going, or that score multiplier.
But it'll save you.
It gets you out of a pinch. It'll save you a life. And I do like, one of the things that's really cool is like each of these levels, like you enter them individually. So it's like you get your 3 credits per level. And that's how you're progressing through the game. So even though it can get pretty tough, and like you can ramp up the difficulty, and I know you guys were saying it was like, oh, this isn't that hard, but like, again, playing with 3 players was a whole different ball game, and we were only on the third difficulty level out of 5.
Yeah.
So it can obviously get much tougher, but I was having a really hard time even on like the normal, or once I bumped it past the normal mode on single player, I was like, okay, I got to the 4th level, but I have a feeling I might be not stuck, but I'm hitting a wall a little bit, but I'm really enjoying it. I mean, it's just it holds up to the reputation that it has, I guess. I don't know that it has like the legendary status, but it's a game that I've been aware about for a long time, and I'm just really excited that I'm finally able to play it, and even more excited that it's as good as I hoped it would be.
I want to buy it so bad. This looks right up my alley. I actually did play the demo of this at PAX West, I believe back in 2010.
Oh, sweet. Jesus.
Yeah, with the devs. But it was only a PC thing at that point, and I just wasn't that much of a PC guy. I just like loved the way the game looked, so I was attracted to go play it. And I believe at that point they even had 4 controllers out to play. And
nice.
I think I accidentally selected the hardest level, which was a thing. But even then I was like, man, I'm like blown away by this game. Like, I hope it comes to a console that I own, and in 2019, here we are. So I will be buying this at some point here soon.
Yeah, I did my usual thing where like I think it's like $18 or something, but they had it like a discount pre-order for it was only 15. It was only a few bucks off. But I was like, man, I have wanted this game for so long. I'm just gonna spring and buy it, and I'm really glad I did. I have a feeling I'm just gonna kind of chip away at this one. Shoot 'em ups are so hit and miss for me. Like, sometimes they just really grab me and I love them, and then sometimes I'm just kind of like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Like Super Hydora, I had a really good time playing that when we talked about it, I think last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. But it didn't grab me like this one is. This one's really like, I'm into this game. Like, it is a really cool game. And again, that's nothing to take away from Super Hydora, but it just, this feels like a little more of a complete package, I guess.
Do you think it's also because you prefer vertical to horizontal shmups?
That might be a little bit, and I do like all the different ships or characters and the different guns and the different and the pixel art is just like, even though again it's really cool in Super Hydora, but just like really detailed, huge sprites. And again, I'm not like some huge steampunk fan or anything, but I just it's kind of a different aesthetic. It's not it is a space shooter, but it's not like a traditional like, oh, we're just like a ship in space. You're kind of like playing on these weird hovercrafts. Like you can see your character like sitting in the middle, but it's almost like a round kayak or something with like these like
seems like some similar
spotlights.
themes to why we like the Psycheo shooters when we did,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
like
and there actually is a lot of that, like enemies on the ground and enemies in the air, and
and just more character to the game, and like the characters you select and stuff. There's just more of its own thing going on,
and a little more like it's not like every character's playing a totally different game.
Yeah,
but it does feel like it shifts up the strategy enough to where you're like, okay, I'm doing something a little different here.
Yep.
So. Yeah, I didn't have too much more to add. I haven't played enough of this one, but I guess I'm getting pretty far. But I'm excited to play some more co-op and to play some more on my own.
Awesome. We'll unlock the rest of the game for
you. All right. Well, DJ started up, and I guess he showed me a little bit before we started recording too. But DJ started playing up some Hopiko or
Started playing last night. Wasn't planning on talking about this game. It's getting me pumped.
But the soundtrack is amazing.
We got that message saying, "Oh, I'm absolutely talking."
You saw my tweet. Yeah, so Hopiko is like this 2D game where like these gaming consoles have been invaded by this virus, and you're this character who's just supposed to maneuver your way through these levels to destroy the virus. And you're basically this guy who's just launching off different platforms to get you to the endpoint, which is the virus, and it feels a little bit like Dandara, I guess, in terms of look to it. But like the mechanics are really simple. You either like kind of point the joystick in a direction you want to shoot yourself. You can kind of just flick it in that direction, or you can hit the R button and just shoot yourself completely straight, and it'll be a pretty quick shot. And these are kind of like time-based levels. Like you don't have to beat the levels in a certain time, but like you're kind of encouraged. Like you see this meter like going down. It's like I don't know. It's it makes you feel like you got like the A+ in like Super Meat Boy.
Is it like a bonus meter or like a grade meter? Does it affect like your like score at all? Or
there's not a score to be honest, because it's just about getting to the end.
But do you lose just, like if it reaches 0?
You don't lose. That's the thing. It's so in each of the runs, you have to go through 5 levels in quick succession. And if you want like the overall bonus, you have to beat all 5 of the levels within the allotted time. And like beating all 5 of the levels, like in reality takes within 20 seconds. But it's like if you're able to do that in one run.
Right.
Correct. Yeah, it's like twitchy. Like Super Meat Boy isn't even a terrible touchstone, like our comparison point.
Right. Yeah. So like you'll be trying to, go through these levels. If you, get to the 3rd level and you die, you have to start back at the first one. So you have to really get into the flow of like, okay, like got to shoot myself here. I got to flick quick in this direction. Like you really got to nail these down. Kind of like I almost also got like a similar Standby feeling where you're almost kind of like memorizing kind of like where you need to be at certain times.
And even aesthetically too, it's like a really just like clean, it looks nice. It's like simplistic, but really clean. It's like a little busy maybe, but not like distractingly so.
Yeah. It was weird because like you were saying, oh, probably not when you're playing this, because I hadn't noticed the busyness, but when you pointed out, it's like, oh yeah.
There's just like all kinds of like particle effects or like just things
stuff
like you blowing up in the background or flying around. But yeah, if you're playing and just focusing on the character, that stuff's just kind of whizzing right past you without even paying it any mind.
Yeah,
right.
But oh man, it feels so sweet when you nail down like a string of 5 levels, like all getting all the time checkpoints and all of them. Like it feels amazing, especially with like the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's like definitely bumping and encouraging you to keep playing along.
It's the kind of music I like that gets me pumped. So
yeah, it's a very good chiptune soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
I was kind of saying, like when we were talking about it earlier, like it's like a right in between like boss battle music and then just like regular like Mega Man, like NES era Mega Man stuff. So it's like got that really like melodic catchiness, but like a little more intensity than just.
I like both those things.
Exactly.
I like the boss battle music. So I like the normal level music.
Yeah,
It's nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm like a couple worlds in. Like each world is like 10 levels, and each of those consists of like 5 of these mini sections that you have to do. So like 50 sections per world, I guess. But yeah, I'm like halfway through the game, and I am pumped. So.
And it's tough.
The rest, yeah.
I played a little bit, and I did appreciate, like, again, you do have to move through pretty quickly. But you
only
like DJ
if
was saying,
you want.
well, but there are sometimes like there's an enemy that would be like trailing you, and you kind of have to outrun that. But like,
yeah,
like like DJ was saying, like you kind of flick the joystick, but you can also like hold it down, and it will show like kind of like in Dandara, it'll show like where you're gonna land. And you can play it a little more cautiously. I was having a little bit of a tough time playing. I was using the Joy-Cons, and I just think I had a hard time playing Celeste as well, to like hit those diagonal dashes, and like I would just be like a little off. So I think if I was playing with a little bit bigger of a joystick or using the Pro Controller, for example, I think I'd have a little bit
I'm
playing easier time.
Yeah, I'm playing with the Joy-Cons, and I've run into some difficulty, but
again, there's such quick little levels that it's like, even if you die, like I kept saying, okay, I'm about done, and I probably played for like another 15 minutes after I was like, I think I'm done, because I was like, oh, you can change it to the left stick instead of the right stick, which I thought would help me out, but especially holding the Joy-Cons independently, like if I have them clicked onto like the little dog bone thing, I feel like I can hit it, but I kind of hold the Joy-Con on an angle a little bit, and then it throws off my like what I think is like a straight up is like technically I'm doing it on a 15-degree angle or something.
Yeah, I guess for the majority of when I was playing it was like hooked onto the Switch itself, and
that would feel much better if in my estimation, at least.
But it's really cool because like a lot of the diversity in the levels is based on like the way they change up the platforms. Like there are different platforms that operate in different ways. Like some will like after a couple seconds they'll disappear. Some will shoot you, like they'll flip you completely around, so you'll be like 180 degrees different than where you were. Some will like once you shoot to them, they'll like kind of keep the momentum that you shot at them with. So like you'll start drifting away on them, and there's the puzzles are all based around that. And
like sometimes one of the levels I played, like they use that, like you're on a moving platform that then has to like block some lasers so you can, or like beams that you can't pass through, essentially, so that I can then make the jump that I needed to make. I didn't get past that level, but
okay.
But it's also got like some like room for error, I guess, and that like you can accidentally do like these shortcuts and stuff, which
or also, maybe on purpose. I'm sure there's people who are doing like speed runs and stuff.
Yeah. Well, when I tried to do some of them on purpose, I couldn't.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I never had
genuine accidents.
Yeah, but you'd be like, oh, I like missed the platform I was aiming for, but like, oh, I kind of weaved through these obstacles. Yeah. But yeah, it did have a good, like it's an addicting game, or it seems like I could see myself getting addicted to that game because it just has that instantaneous, like you said, 20 seconds to beat a level. Not that you're beating them all in the first try or anything, but it's just like it's just an immediate like one more try. Yeah, it wasn't like I was sitting
like that, especially since you can like once you get to the end of a section or once you die, you can like just quickly press it. It's just like okay, just skip.
Get me through these little level transitions. Like you can just plow through this game at a pace. For sure.
I'm getting pumped. I'm gonna play more. Gonna unlock more tracks. I'm gonna rock out.
It's worth just seconding or doubling down on the music. It's really, really great.
Yeah.
But I guess we can wrap up this week talking a little more Super Mario Maker 2. I know Randall and John have had a little bit of time to put in some some more time into that new update. Basically, I don't know if they have a name for that update, but basically they added like
2.0. It's officially Mario Maker 2 version 2.0.
It's the only major update they've done so far on Mario Maker 2, right?
Yeah, as far as I know, like this was the only thing that added any mechanics or any new enemies and stuff. And they added a significant amount to it. But the biggest one that like Randall and I played a lot of, at least in some of the levels that players were making, is the Legend of Zelda ability that like they just have these. You can get the Master Sword, and that lets you play as in the NES levels. Like you can play as,
or like specifically Mario 1, right?
Yeah,
like you
Super Mario Brothers.
Mario 1 aesthetic. Yeah.
But yeah, why don't you take a?
Yeah, so you get to play as Chunky Link once you pick up the Master Sword. Which it's strange that I was listening to another podcast that pointed this out too, but it's a little strange they didn't go with the Adventures of Link. Sprite, considering that's a side scroller for the most part.
Right, especially since it's also like a power up, and that's usually like the tall Mario when you get it.
Yeah. Well, that's true too. I didn't even think about that aspect, but that makes sense too. But I guess they say more folks are familiar with Chunky Link from the original Legend of Zelda on NES, so we'll give him that and make him side scroll, even though he never did that in the first game. So, but it's cool. Like you have a bomb ability. Which will let you like break blocks and things like that, which gives lots of opportunities in levels. And some of the levels that some folks like Chris Kohler made are a lot of fun that take advantage of Link's arrow shooting ability. And you can kind of point it up diagonally or down to kind of make an arc of your arrow, which makes for a lot of fun, different puzzle things you can do. Obviously, you've got your standard sword attack, which at first I was like not using because I was just not used to having that mechanic available to me.
Yeah.
In a Mario game. Yeah.
To go up and just slice at Goomba just seemed really odd.
Or Koopa Troopa, yeah.
Or like Koopa Troopa.
Attacking like horizontally in a Mario game like just isn't a thing.
Yeah, unless it's a fireball that's like going out at distance. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But it was cool. Like it automatically just added a whole new world of possibilities with just a few different tweaks there. I like it a lot.
Yeah, the level John was showing us a couple levels, I guess, that you played before we started recording. But the one level, I already forgot that user's name. But
we took a screenshot. We'll probably post it.
Yeah, we'll post it somewhere.
Twitter
but the levels he had made were really, really cool, really clever. Like they had one level actually that was called "Babam Is You," and like had kind of a take on Baba Is You.
Oh, cool!
And like some pretty clever puzzle designs. And then there was that Zelda level.
Yeah,
that
the
had all
Zelda
those
level
keys.
was like who has two thumbs and is Link.
Yes.
And I think you had played that one, and then we had kind of explored some of their other levels.
Because I was going through your profile on like my copy just to like be like, oh yeah, these are the levels that Randall liked, and we were going through those and looking at them.
Which is sweet that you can do that in Mario Maker 2. I'm not.
It's sweet, but like it's still frustrating that like there isn't like just a playlist option.
Yes.
Or like it's maddening how close they are to like being super accessible.
Yep.
But then like it's still like it's great that you can favorite like because as soon as like we played those two levels from that creator, like I immediately followed him.
Yep.
And, like that's cool. Like now I can access his levels, but like still like the only reason why I discovered him was because I went to your page and like you happened to like his levels. Like if you had just played one of his levels randomly and like forgot to like it, it would just be gone and impossible to find.
And how did you get to Randall's page?
Well, I went to like he left a comment on a little stage that I made using some of the new mechanics.
The cool level that John made.
He was on your friend list.
No, which is although I don't know if that I can't confirm that, but I don't think that like your friends like their profiles are just like easily searchable or there's an option. Like I think the only reason, Randy, why I could find your page was because you left a comment. Even like if you hadn't like liked my like if you were part of a group of people who played my level, it wouldn't have said you individually played my level. But like, it would have been like, 5 people played your level. But like the fact of the matter that you like specifically left a comment, I was like, oh, cool. That's where my friend's page is.
Yeah. And the only way I even got to your level is because I entered the 9 or 12 digit code. to get to your
Yeah.
level, and then downloaded your level, played your level, then liked it, and then followed you in particular.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. Like, it does seem like with this update patch, they're really missing that. Like, again, I don't need
They're
a world
adding
builder,
so
but
much,
I just
but, like-
need a playlist. I just need something to like easily save levels and share them with people, and just some way to curate levels for yourself in a less manual fashion. Like,
Right.
you really do have to like. Maybe even just like go on YouTube or like go online and just like look up other levels that people have liked. Like that would probably be your most like successful rate, because it's a lot of hit and miss when you're playing Mario Maker. You're getting a lot of those like auto runner levels, which can be cool to just see or experience, but like I want to play.
I want to
like,
play Mario.
well, like
just
even
normal
like the
levels.
level you made, that like Winter 1-1 level,
Yeah.
like it was just like a solid Mario level. I didn't
Yep.
play it myself, but I watched DJ play it, and it just looked like a fun. It didn't look like anything out of the ordinary. I don't know why you picked the new Super Mario Brothers skin, but other than that,
because you get the little R move.
yeah, I do
the
like that
spin in the
little
middle- in midair.
float in midair. That is a
wall
nice
jump.
touch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there are some cool mechanics. I'm not a
know.
big fan of that game.
I'm hoping that like because it is like such like the 2.0 like added so many things, and it still seems like there's an extra space for them to add another theme like later on. I hope that they're like leaving the door open to like have another big change.
Yeah.
Because another thing, they added the like ninja speedrun mode.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. I really liked that.
What is that?
It's like an active ghost mode where like Nintendo uploads a custom level that has at least the first one that they've done. They haven't done a second one yet. They upload a level that has kind of multiple paths, and it's a race, and it's just you like trying to get to the end as fast as you can. And like once you beat it, like I think even maybe before you beat it, like that will just show all of these like ghosts who are other people attempting it, and they'll like show like I think it's like 50% of them are people who have like small. I think you have to beat it first, because 50% of the ghosts will be slower than you, and 50% of them will be faster than your target time.
Okay.
So then you can kind of also see them move through like the ones that are faster than you. Like, oh, maybe I should go that way
Right.
to optimize my run. And so that's how like you kind of get better at speed running this specific course. And like I beat the first one in like 40 seconds, and I think like I ended it like still only being like 38 seconds or something. Like I didn't optimize it too much, but like, you know, I saw like people who were really going at it and were getting it like in like sub 20 seconds.
Right.
I thought you were going to say, like, yeah, I tried it again and I only got 38th ranking in the world,
Yeah,
worldwide.
No, I was well into like the 10,000s or something. but it's cool because like you're
Awesome that many
you're
people
seeing-
are still playing this game.
right.
Oh, yeah.
But like it was a cool mode that like I didn't even know they were going to put in. Or like they didn't. I mean, they were kind of secretive about the whole update. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they will put some more like quality of life improvement stuff in.
That would be nice, because that is one thing that it just seems like Nintendo just like they're always just like a
Doesn't
little
do.
bit off the mark with
Yep.
like the online service and the, you know, it's not terrible, but it's just not quite all there, you know.
For better or
So-
worse, Nintendo's in a vacuum when it comes to decision making.
Yes, they are indeed. But yeah, I think. Did you guys have any more to add about Mario Maker at all, or?
I'll keep playing it. I'll keep making levels.
I will
Eventually,
say-
Keep playing
you guys will play.
I was just gonna say, I'll say I get more and more enticed the more like this new update definitely was just like, okay, because I've been I don't know, I like some of the new stuff they've added, but I'm also not crazy about like I kind of wish it was just a more straightforward like Mario Maker. Like I don't need all these new cranes and new mechanics. I kind of just want to make regular Mario levels. But that said, this whole like Zelda thing that kind of almost plays like a new game. Like again, this person that we were playing the level of earlier, it's like it was a really long level and it ended almost like as like a shmup at the last level. Like you're swimming underwater. Did you play this level as well, Randall?
Yeah, I think that was one of Chris Kohler's levels.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Well, Chris Kohler knows how to make a good Mario Zelda hybrid level.
He does.
But who is Chris Kohler? I know that name, but
He's
from
a
somewhere.
writer at Kotaku. He's a big game
nice.
industry dude, and he's got a lot of retro ties too.
Okay, sweet. Heck yeah. Well, anyways, I think we can wrap it up there then this week, and we'll be back again next week. I think we're going to have a little holiday special episode where we're going to kind of run down some of our favorites that we've talked about for the year, and then maybe have a little New Year's resolution. But I think that'll be next week. I'm pretty sure, but we'll squeeze that in right around the holidays either way. But thanks for tuning in. As always, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, not Facebook, but we're on the internet elsewhere. And pursuingpixels.com, pursuingpixels@gmail.com if you want to drop us a line.
Send us an email.
And send us a little message or something. Send us your Mario Maker levels, maybe.
Oh, that'd be
check
sweet.
out. We'd love to see some cool Mario
love
Maker
that.
levels. So yeah, send them our way. And maybe we'll talk about them on the cast.
We
But
will.
until then, we'll catch you all next week. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I only played a few games, ultimately. I played a lot of SteamWorld Quest, and then got into
you
Shovel
got
Knight.
sucked into that.
I'm pumped for that discussion.
Yeah, me too.
Did you? I actually don't even know. Do you like SteamWorld Quest? Oh no!
We can save it.
It's the SteamWorld best.